Hello and welcome to the Irish Arsenal Q&R podcast. It's Sunday, November the 13th. I'm your host as always, Jonathan Giles, and I'm joined at this stage by my regular guests week on week, Eamon Donnelly and Carl Osborne. How are you, lads?
Oh, good, thank you. Good to be
here. Evening, Jonathan. Just back from evening master. We got a Sunday pie back, but the news of the world was sold out. Evening, and are you gonna welcome our other guest?
I am indeed. I'd like to welcome a new guest to our show. You probably already have seen her from our sister channel, Charlotte Brown. How are you? Better known as Lottie. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for having me back again as well so quickly.
No relation to Paul Brown.
Definitely not.
Oh, see that Charlotte Brown? Yeah.
Paul, are you listening from your hideout in the Maldives? Paul Brown, of course, is our Yorkshire Dublin Arsenal chairman. Of course, you can check out our sister show with Martin Stumble and Lottie. Will be on it from on Tuesday as well. Beyond the Last Man, it's called. I think it's on to the fourth episode. I think is Tuesday one. It's going from strand to strand as well. So, if you can give that a listen to as well, it'd be much appreciated. You can catch our show as always on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel, and of course follow us on Instagram, where Martin will add daily content to our page and to the Dublin Arsenal channel as well. Thanks to our sponsor as well, clubgolf.co.uk. Use Dub Arsenal 10 for a 10% discount at the checkout. They have nice retro Bruce Banana gear there in a polo shirt form. Catch all the matches throughout the season in the official supporters pub, the River Bar in Dublin City Centre. Hopefully, I know Carl is hoping to come in January, and hopefully Lottie, you'll be following suit next year as well.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Away day in Dublin sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does, especially because I've never been before. So it'd be amazing. It's on the bucket list. It has been for a while.
You'd be well looked after. Seriously, you know.
It is. It's definitely the best city in the world. Yeah. Just to get it out there. Last week's stats, views was 156, so well up on the previous week. That's up 60 was the previous one. 12 likes, and that's up 6. And we're up on subscribers again from 2,660 to 2,730. So we're really moving on up. Big thanks to Martin Stumble as well, because without him there wouldn't be a channel. So just like to thank him as always. For his sister channel and for everything he does as well. I threw in the group there last night as well. There's a Dublin Arsenal mug.
Yeah, it looks amazing. That I want to try and get one of them as well to drink my champagne in May. So,
yeah, try to bring it to the parade with us on the Monday. I can't wait. To lift that trophy. On this week's show, we'll be reviewing last night's 2-0 away success against Wolves. Of course, this is our last game before the World Cup break. The next one will be December 26th, Boxing Day, at home to West Ham. So a 6-week break for us. We'll also be going over the first half of the season and what we liked and disliked about it. Very little not to like about it. We'll be picking our half-term goal of the season. Thought I'd add that in a little extra for tonight. We go into, I suppose, to kick straight into it. And Martin Odegaard scored twice last night in a hard-fought away victory. Wolves fighting for their lives, bottom of the table. A new manager looking on. I suppose players wanted to put in a performance, and they did put in a lot of heart. They're just lacking really Jimenez up front. They didn't really cause us many problems. Probably I thought we could have won by maybe more than 2. You know, I thought we were a bit nervy ourselves. Molyneux is always a tough place to go over the last few seasons. It's always been won by a goal or 2. I thought Odegaard, was nice to see him getting a double. He hasn't been on the score sheet in a while. Jesus cost the back line again. It was so many problems. He just can't seem to score. Like I think he tries probably too hard and it will happen for him eventually. But he's in the World Cup team, which is nice for Brazil. But sitting top now, lads, with 37 points. I'll go to Lottie since you're new on this side of the show. What did you make of her performance last night?
Do you know what? It was a bit chaotic. I couldn't work out what Odegaard and Saka were trying to do in the first place, but it eventually worked, because when you look at Wolves, they're essentially a 10-man defence. They're bottom of the table. They just play uninteresting football, and I got to be honest with you, with us, I'm not being organised. I did get a little bit bored. And I'm still expecting Jesus to score, and he's just not getting it in. After he missed at Chelsea, the offside from the other night, and it's just like, when are you going to start scoring again? I mean, don't get me wrong, his stats look great. He's there. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He hasn't vanished like our old number 9. But I don't want to be in that position where he's doing all this great stuff and he's not scoring, and we need him to get back on that score sheet again. Whether he needs to go to the World Cup and come back with maybe another bit more of confidence boost, I don't know. That might be it. That depends if he gets to play, because there's probably other people ahead of him on that list, if I'm honest with you, the way he's been performing right now. But yeah, no, it's just, I saw it being a boring old 1-0, but I'm just like, Martin Odegaard wanted the win the most of them. Once they got organised, he was just absolutely terrorising. He was everywhere.
Oh,
we
lost the audio there, Lottie.
Just send we lost her for a second there, did you?
Yeah, we got no audio on there.
I think it's a loose connection.
No, we're not hearing you.
I'm gonna have to go.
Oh, now we've got you. Now we've got you.
Okay, cool.
It's a headphones.
Just take these off. Hang on. There we go. Sorry, guys. Yeah, as I was saying about Odegaard, he was just everywhere. He had an absolute beast of a game. Yeah. I think I turned on. I felt 40 minutes before he scored, I tweeted, "He's been amazing. He's been this. He's been that." Question is he going to score tonight? 40 minutes later, he answered my question, and he scored. So I'm quite pleased with myself. I called that. So, but yeah, no. Overall, once we got that first goal in, we kind of just found our rhythm again, and kind of just took the bull by the horn, so to speak, for those 3 points.
Yeah, it was a massive 3 points. Yeah, it was always going to be a scrappy, 1-0. It was when we went 1-0 up. It says I'll take that, but then the second goal was even sweeter as well. It's had probably over the year done really well for his assists as well. But he's still a bit lightweight. He needs to bulk up a bit more, but there's potential going ahead with that lad. Definitely another quality signing for us. Who stood out for you the most, Lottie, in that game? If you were to give a man of the match to an Arsenal player?
Oh, Martin Odegaard. He was there for the full 90 minutes. I'm still trying to get my head around Arsenal Twitter saying that he doesn't turn up, and I'm like, what are you people watching? So Martin Odegaard, hands down.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to him. Norway are playing Ireland now on Thursday, and I'm hoping to see him and Haaland playing. Be nice to see them here,
There's no Norway without those two. There isn't. There is probably more great players there, but when you think of Norway, they're the first 2 names on the sheet for me.
Yeah, hands down. Yeah, it was nice to see Odegaard. I don't think Odegaard has scored since the double against Bournemouth, is it?
It's Forest. Why didn't he go? Did he go
against Forest?
30, yeah, that's very first. Yeah, it took a while. I couldn't remember actually when the last time we scored, because everyone's chipping in with goals now.
Last season, I think he got 7 in 46. This season already, he's got 6.
Yeah.
So he's beaten what he had before. He's doing so much better. I will give him that.
Yeah, he's becoming an integral part of our midfield as well, isn't he? Eamonn, how did you see the game last night?
Well, they say Wolverhampton, Wolves is a tough place to go. All you do is go right beside the man with the horse and then just go down by Johnny Spice, right? It's Wolverhampton. I have a great mate from Wolverhampton. Come here. I'll tell you what I thought, right? First of all, my first hat off is to Thomas Partey, because he had to do it last night without Granit Xhaka. right? And they have been a great access for the team. So Granit Xhaka was obviously unwell, and it transpires that half the team are unwell, right? So let's take that into account. But he was pale as a ghost. So for Partey to do that anchor and still try and get the opposition turned around and do what he did, I thought that was really hats off to him. He's been brilliant this season. And as we know, Granit Xhaka is irreplaceable in that team and the way it plays. Second hat off is to Zinchenko, who, while Martinelli wasn't at it in the first half, Zinchenko at least offered us something, right? And he was trying to drift into those spaces, and ultimately it paid off. And the thing about it is, when you're playing against a team situated like Wolves, you've got to stop all this. We should be beating these 1, 2, 3, 4. Got to be patient against them. Yeah. I actually don't agree with Lottie on one thing. I don't think Wolves play uninteresting football. I actually think they're in a bit of a shambles at the moment because they've been filleted of their best players. They played such good football over the last number of years that the likes of Jota has left them. They're without Jimenez, who's a big focal point for them. And they don't normally play like the way they played against us. And last night, what they did was they just decided they'd try and nick a point by as that gobshite from Portugal said once, parking the bus. All right? And I think what happened was, because they parked the bus and we'd so much time and room, it kind of takes the edge off your own game. I think that's what happened. So we weren't moving the ball quick enough. You know, we weren't moving side to side quick enough. But when you have the ball at your feet all of the time, it is difficult, right? But you're always hoping that the game will grind itself into a pattern, and that's ultimately what happened. The one worry was that headless chicken Traore. You know, I've seen him at the Emirates a couple of times. He's capable of mad stuff. Like, he'd bend the banana shot that would go in, nestle in the top corner, and the next time the thing would hit the 12 pins. You know, so you just don't know with him. And there was a couple of times on the break where, but that's all they had. They'd no focal point. So I feel a bit sorry for Wolves in that regard, and I think they're in a false position in the league. And I hope, because they've come to the Emirates for the last number of years. You remember the big game we had against them last year when we got 2 late goals?
Yeah.
They come to play football, Wolves do. And I hope they stay up. So my mate Paul from Wolverhampton now owes me a tenner after giving that plug. I also think that Gabriel Jesus, if you're not scoring, we've scored 33 goals, second highest in the league. We're on course. If you were to be Martin and put a stat head on, that's 94, 95 goals a season. I don't care who scores them. So I think Jesus, when they say he needs a goal, he certainly wants a goal. But is he going around in an Aubameyang-like sulk because he can't get a goal? No. Or what is he doing? He's gone doing everything else. He caused havoc, and I thought he led the line terrifically yesterday. Right? I thought he led the line terrifically. I won't keep you as much longer on this, but I thought Saliba had one of his off days because there's no striker. That guy, if Diego Costa had been playing, Saliba would have been sharp as attack. There's no striker, and he lost his concentration. And because it was so bloody easy. But in the absence of Saliba losing his concentration, our other 2 warriors, Ben White and Gabriel, didn't. And that's good. Because how many times have flaky Arsenal been caught with a sucker punch? And that didn't happen. And that's the thing. There is no more flaky Arsenal. In fact, a good mate of mine who's a Liverpool fan and a good football man, he gave me a big essay yesterday about, it's amazing to watch these players who you would have considered flaky. I didn't consider them flaky. I didn't consider Martinelli flaky. He was 18. Saka was 18. So Saka's not flaky for sure, right? But the point he was making was that these guys are growing into a very, very, very resolute team, right? And just lastly on Odegaard, You were too young, Charlotte, to remember the great Liam Brady from not far down the road from here. But yesterday reminded me of a Liam Brady performance. It was drop the shoulder, find the space, drop the shoulder, find the space, receive the ball, And people say he doesn't turn up for big games, right? So what? You know what? In big games, very few people turn up because it's only the toss of a coin, or and big games, big teams will target Martin Odegaard, right, over the season. If he turns up in all the other games, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because it's all about the team. So if Martin Odegaard is double teamed in a big game, it should free up Martinelli. It should free up Fabio Verde. It should free up Granit Xhaka. That's the way football is, So overall, I thought it was great. It wasn't a great game by any stretch of the imagination. It looked fairly predictable to me, and I wasn't in the slightest bit worried that we weren't going to get a goal and then probably build on that. And that's ultimately what happened. And by the way, I worry for a living. I don't support Arsenal. I've told this shit before. I worry about them. There's a difference. So, so that was my take on yesterday. Routine, job done.
Your man of the match, Eamonn?
Got to be Martin Odegaard. I mean, you can't look at anybody else. But to me, because of where I started in this conversation, closely run by the job that Thomas Partey did, given what happened in the middle of midfield, early doors,
Yeah, that victory as well was our 7th clean sheet in the league this season. So 7-14. I thought Ramsdale again controlled his backline quite well and just shouted at Zinchenko near the end when he made a mistake when we were 2-0 up. And that's great to see that he's keeping the backline in check. He's had another good season for Ramsdale. Ozzy, the victory yesterday, I felt like when Lacazette scored that last minute one at home back in February, but this win was even sweeter. What did you make of the result yesterday?
Well, I'm going to get in there. Last one at the Emirates, there was a day I got COVID, and so I missed probably the best game of the season at the Emirates last season. I was gutted. It was actually the day you could still go out with COVID, but moral high ground, I didn't make it. And I'll give my ticket away for free, so it went empty that day. I think Lottie will remember that. I was giving them a ticket.
I think I got someone to sit in it.
Yeah, you did. But yeah, so look, it was another tricky tie, another test. I think we've passed with flying colours. I'm going to get in there straight away. I got my prediction right, Jonathan. It was I just predict 2-0 to the Arsenal, so I'm going to get that in there straight away.
Straight.
But no, I'm not going to repeat what other people said, but I thought the first half was a tough watch. It was a tough watch, but I found it very difficult getting the ball from defence to attack quickly. And I think we were very slow in doing that. I think that might have been a combination of a couple of things, really. The way the Wolves had set out to frustrate us. Looking at Eamonn now when I say that. The fact that Xhaka going off quite early on, I think disrupted the team. And like Eamonn said, rightly had that effect on Partey. And I think as Vieira came on, I think as the game went on, I think he grew into that game pretty well from that team. And I'll go on to talk about squad depth in a minute, because I know we've had on the group, we've talked about that a bit. But yeah, for the first half, I did think it was going to be one of those nights, and how frustrating we would be. But as you both, the other guests have said, the second half much more better, much more effective on the ball, getting the ball into Partey more, and those speed of transitions from defence to attack were so much better. We talk about Jesus, but that was a phenomenal through pass he put through to the Vieira. To set up that goal on the plate for Odegaard, that first one, that through pass there was like watching a Fabregas type Bergkamp-esque, cut through the defence like a knife, and Vieira again with a great ball in for Odegaard for the tap in. So I'm going to sort of not tip my hat to Gabby Martinelli really for that second goal. I know it came from a Gabby Martinelli shot, but for tenacity of Martinelli there, he basically, I don't know if you remember it, but the ball came from midfield. He miscontrolled it, lost control of the ball in the corner of the pitch, but he didn't give up. And he chased that ball down. He won that ball back. He had a shot which rebounded ultimately to Odegaard, and he still had a lot to do, but a cracking finish there for that. So really, I love Gabby Martinelli. He just doesn't stop, does he? He wasn't the best player on the pitch, of course he wasn't, but it's just that tenacity created that second goal, and I think that kind of took the nerves off that game for me. Once we went 2-0 up, I think it was a foregone conclusion now, and I think that, you know, in places like Molineux, they've always got a chance of just snatching one, and I think just getting that second goal really finished it for me anyway, for my nerves anyway. It helped out. I think we can confirm Odegaard listens to this show, because last week I did actually criticise him a little bit for not turning up in big games. So,
I meant to say that, yeah, they must have listened to you.
Yeah. So at least we know he's watching, and yeah, look, you know, he's a top scorer now in the club, isn't he? So he's got two versus Bournemouth, one Fulham, one against Forest, and then 2 in this match. So I'll stick with what I said. You know, with big games, I'd like to see more, but like Eamonn rightly said, I could double up on him and that. But I think, you know, he turned up when he needed to. And that's what captains do, right? So fair play to him in what he did there. But yeah, overall, you know, 3 points in the bag. We're top for Christmas. 5 points clear. I think the results going our other way. I couldn't believe, you know, that Brentford got a result at City. It just shows how tough this league is, doesn't it? And nothing is a foregone conclusion in the Premiership, and we just need to keep level-headed. But look, I know we're getting carried away. We're joking about winning the league, and so I'm you know, starting to believe a little bit. But ultimately, it's done our Champions League hopes a world of good, isn't it? Yes, it really has. So yeah. So there you go. And before you ask me my man of the match, it's very clear. It's got to be Martin Odegaard. I thought Gabriel played well as well. I think he had a solid game as well. But yeah, definitely. You know. Yeah, I'd go Martin Odegaard for that one.
Yeah, it was another important away win, because at home we're flying, but the away, you know, we've only dropped 5 points in our first 14 games. And
we played 8 away games and 6 home.
Sorry?
We played 8 away games and only 6 at home.
Yeah, more away than at home, yeah. United, of course, was 3-1. Which could have changed if Martinelli's goal wasn't disallowed, I think. And that draw against Southampton, which was a bit disappointing, because we were in large control of that game as well. So that leaves us top 12 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat, 33 scored, 11 conceded, and of course 37 points, which we're 3 points from safety already after 14 games. So
3 points safety. That's it. That's more like it.
We're guaranteed Premiership football.
Every silver lining has a cloud. That's more like it.
The only other team is Newcastle that has the next best record in terms of conceding. They've also conceded 11 and are going about their business quite quietly as well. 30 points as well. So I think that game in January, I think, against them, January the 3rd, I think it is, at home. That should be an interesting game as well. So they're going to come thick and fast when they come back from the World Cup. With the break coming up now with the World Cup, our next game is, of course, at home against West Ham. We always will have a review of the first half of the season, and if it was an exam, it'd definitely be an A+. You know, I think Arteta's really excelled. I don't think any Arsenal fans saw this coming. You know, after last season, I thought his head was on the chopping block. I said this numerous times last season. I didn't think he'd last out, but he's torn my head, Henry, big time. And there's definitely a plan in place with himself and Edu on the board. And it's exciting times again to be an Arsenal fan. Definitely 20 years nearly since we last won the league. I was in my prime then as a teenager, and now I'm heading into my 40s now. And half a liver function as well, probably along with that. I suppose Royce will go to the review, at the first 14 games. Go to you again, Lottie. What's been the standout moments for you in our first 14 games? What's impressed you about our start of the season?
I think the main thing is the whole brand new attitude that we've got, that we want to fight for every single minute. There's no we drop one behind or let's give up anymore. It's the attitude. Yeah, we're here. You're not getting past us. And I think for me, it's the defence. Saliba's come back from France, and he has just been absolutely outstanding. For me personally, I was one of those fans that said I've seen him for 45 minutes pre-season. I don't care what anyone says. France is a different level to Premier League football, and I always used to say to people, "You'll get my opinion once I've seen him play Premier League football." And my answer to it now is he's an absolute baller. He's one of the first names down on the team sheet in that back line. When I first started seeing his name down there at the moment, I was a bit unsure because I did like the Ben White and Gabriel partnership, but Saliba is so much stronger in the middle. Ben's been moved out to the right. I'm used to seeing him out on the right. He's done it for Brighton. I've watched Ben since he was at Peterborough, and this is when he was like 16, so I know what he can do. So I wasn't too concerned he's been moved out. But what happens to Ben when Tomiyasu comes back, fully fit? That is the question in my mind at the moment.
Mm.
But other than that, it's just the whole air about Arsenal. The fans are as one. You get the odd tear out person, but the fans are completely as one in that ground, and it's electric every home game. I know Ozzy will agree with me when he is there. It's just completely different. This last season and a half, it's completely changed. Absolutely, completely changed in and around the ground. Even outside the ground on the way in, there's actually fans singing on the way in, and it's just a beautiful sight to see.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I suppose you would have noticed as well. There's such a younger crowd going to the games as well, Lottie, isn't there? Like there's a younger generation now being, especially the Ashburton boys behind.
I normally sit right behind them. I know.
Yeah, yeah. It's such. I've never seen so many young fans there. You know, I've always seen an older generation, but it really is. It's really refreshing. It's like we're reborn again, as such. You know. Yeah.
A lot of our new fan chants are from them. So
yeah,
keep up the brilliant work at the moment.
Yeah, they've been super, haven't they? They're worth the entertainment value alone. You know, if we're going through bad periods in the game, they seem to get the crowd lifted and on, and it feeds onto the players. You can see that, especially with the chant for Saka now. I think he's really been a bit humbled by it, you know, considering, you know, he's had his bad moments with the fans, but to have a chant now for him, he's kind of part of us. I think that was his. Well, I think I read a stat. It was his. Was that his 2,000 game or something there yesterday? Mad, you know. Didn't he goes in and out of games? I thought when he went off yesterday, he was kind of missed in the midfield. You know, I thought, you know,
just for the listeners, it was his 200 game. It wouldn't be his 2,000 game.
Yeah, it was.
He looked like Santa Claus.
Unless you account when he was like 8 years old.
Listeners, Eamonn has walked into his P45 zone again. Without fail, he gets steps into it.
Wait, hear what I have to say next.
Yeah, he'd be gone after this show, wouldn't he? Lottie, your standout player in the first 14 games, if you were to pick one.
Oh God, do you know what? That is the hardest question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to. You know what? I'm his biggest critic, but I'm gonna go for Granit Xhaka. He has, and Ozzy will know. Ozzy knows my Twitter. I'm his biggest critic, and I don't have to complain about him. I'm actually enjoying the way he's playing football. So it's got to be Granit Xhaka for me. A lot of people who know me are like, "Are you feeling okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm not his biggest fan either, so that doesn't help. So that for me is just massive.
It's some turned around for the lad. I have to give it to him. He has turned his career around the last season, and that's why he's brilliant for. I think he's brilliant for Switzerland, and he's brought that side to his game now over the last season with us. You know, he's a determined character, and you know he does give it his all. I think, you know, like they all do now under Arteta. He's got them working as a team ethic now. You can see he's really flourishing now. Eamonn, the first 14 games. Well,
just in your build up to that, Jonathan, you mentioned about the whole approach to the season and what our expectations were, and how Edu and Arteta on the board seem to have something gone on. and I've said this a number of times, they had to burn the house down. The house had dry rot. And rather than try and build, like some clubs have tried to do, on a foundation of dry rot, they burned it down. And they got hungry young players, right, pulling in the one direction. And for that, they deserve credit. That's all I say about that. What about the first 14 games? As I say, at the end of the day, it's only
Here it is.
14 games. Get on with it. You won't win the title in 14 games, as I say. And Terry Neal and Don Howard, a great partner. No, it was the wrong decade. Now, the first 14 games, okay. I always play this little trick, usually on a Sunday morning with my mind in bed. Nick Hornby used to say he never knew what age he was. He measured his life in seasons, right? What age? I don't know. How many seasons is that? I played this trick. Well, if we hadn't have won, so here I was this morning. I went out for a cycle, and I was saying 14 games and 37 points. So that's 12 wins. Supposing that we'd only won 11 and we were still unbeaten, we'd have less bloody points. You know, because you can only win 11 and draw 3. So we actually have, so, you know, I mean, it's been an A+. You're dead right. It's been fantastic, right? But it reminds me very much, and I referenced this last week on the show, watching the North London Derby in January of 1987. And we were at Seven Sisters or someplace, whatever that place is. And Arsenal won 2-1 after going a goal behind. And they got a beautiful move involving Paul Davis and David Rocastle and Charlie Nicholas and all this one. You know, and John Motson said, right, they've lit up North London this winter with the way they're playing football. And it reminds me that the energy that's in the team, the energy that's in the support, and all of that reminds me of that. Now, we were a bit young in 86, 87, and we fell off the paper. We won a trophy that year, and it propelled us to win 2 leagues, right? And what's happening at the Arsenal now reminds me of that era, right? The second thing I want to say is, and Lottie mentioned about players wanting to fight every single minute. And to be honest with you, that was the case most of last season. We just had a few down days where it didn't happen. That can happen again. And I would appeal to Arsenal fans, stop going into meltdown. Honest to sweet Jesus, the nonsense going on a thread here about losing at home to Brighton in a Carabao Cup game. I mean, sweet Jesus, you're talking about an A. What do you want the team to do? Oh, he shouldn't have picked the third team. Well, he didn't. He picked the second team. Yeah. He picked the second team, right? He tried to win the game. And if that game had gone according to script, we'd have been 2-3 up and all would have been okay. But to see the nonsense on the thread and the expectation, Arsenal fans, be humble, stop being girls. That's my message to you now. And I'm going to.
It shows though as well, it shows the expectations that.
Yeah, but expectation is one thing, but reality is another. Did you ever hear? I was on the tube one day, and a mate of mine, the Grim Reaper, right? And we were looking across each other, and we were thinking all things Arsenal. And the tube stopped at Bank Station, and it said, "Mind the gap." And his Arsenal thought, and he looked over a crowd of people, and he said, "Between your expectation and reality," right? So you know, that there is that. But the last thing I'll say, 2 things. Lottie referenced about the atmosphere in the stadium this season. I've been lucky enough, and it's going to get harder and harder for us over here because our ticket allocation is being cut because of the demand. But I've been lucky to be over there 5 times this season. I was there for Spurs, Liverpool, all that type of thing. And they're big games. I was there for Fulham. The atmosphere is incredible. But I kind of noticed that if you go back to the Friday night game against Aston Villa, around about October last season, and we were allowed to stand up in the West Stand, and I just said to myself, "There's something different happening here," and it's just carried on like that, and that is absolutely brilliant. On Granit Xhaka, I'll say this: I know before, for himself, for the lad, it must have been Ozzy. So frustrating, Deirdre. But he was playing in the wrong position. But I tell you what, I stood at a game I'm not sure which one it was. And every time Zaka got the ball, it was last season, there were 2 or 3 mouthpieces beside me going, "Oh, well done, Zaka," and kind of ironically, "Oh, you managed to find a teammate with the ball." The treatment that guy got from the Arsenal fans, and I was there the day he walked off, was nothing short of horrendous. And I was there the day Emmanuel Bowie broke out crying because the treatment of him was nothing short of horrendous. Horrendous. No place in a football pitch. And I go back to, I can go back to 1970, 71 when John Samuels, a guy who won us the European Players Cup, used to have to deal with the same abuse. No place for it. And I'm just saying, Granit Xhaka to me has been the standout player of the season by a mile for his improvement, but I would wish everybody would cop on. He was never a defensive midfielder. That's not his game. He's an inside forward and a very intelligent one at that. You'll notice that, he used to get bypassed in midfield. He didn't know how to play there. But the one thing I'll say about him is there's a reason why every manager picks him every week, right? And if anybody wants to challenge me, they can write me a strongly worded letter on that now. I've been just to explain. I've been a defender of Granit Xhaka for a number of years, and I always felt there was a footballer in there if we could get the best out of him. And in fairness, all joking aside, the management team has done exactly that. And in fairness to the Arsenal fans, they have responded in kind, and I like that. I think it's good, But when we collapse in the new year, please, folks, no meltdown.
Well, look, I'd be happy if we win on St. Stephen's Day. It means we've got a secured 40 points, and they can do what they fucking like then after that. No, but definitely, Arteta has to be manager of the season in my eyes for the first half. And he'd probably be facing the sack come late April if things go to shite.
Just before we go off that, Jonathan, I mean, you asked and you talked to Carl, what were our ambitions this season?
Definitely fourth place would be,
So So again,
I think this is going to be one of those seasons where it could be another Leicester City season. It could be just.
Drugs.
I'm not saying Leicester's going to.
No, I'm saying it. So it's like Jamie Vardy running up and down like a road runner. For 90 minutes, I said, hold on a second. I mean, this guy who looks like Harold Steptoe, he's running up and down like.
If we don't, it'd be a
and by the way, Mr. Ranieri has form in the laboratories. He does, yeah.
If we don't win the league, it'd be like John Walters that time. He says, "We hope Leicester win the league."
Absolutely.
That was the most bizarre comment, because the next, I think they went out and actually spanked Stoke, and they didn't even try a leg in any of them last.
It's like a team that hoped they won the league. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Definitely the 2 games against Man City, home and away, are going to be the pivotal ones, but we take it a game at a time, as they say. Ozzy, first 14 games for you, A+.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think this team, for me, I've said it a few times on the pod, resilience. They've shown so much resilience. They've had a number of tests. They've responded to a number of where we'd normally fail. Their response has showed that they've got the minerals, as we always say, to show that they can respond in the face of diverse, you know what I mean. Anyway, but no, look, we're saying about when it started to rebuild, right? It went pear-shaped the end of last season, and we lost to Newcastle, we lost to that other lot, which I won't name. And I stood there at Arsenal-Everton 5-1 last home game of the season, and the amount of people that stayed behind after that game, clapped that team off the pitch. Yeah. Something was building then. I think it's been magnified. I do think we joked about it, but I think the Amazon documentary helped build that bond. I think it really did between teams. I'm not saying it's down to that purely, but I think it opened our eyes a bit for what was going on. As Eamonn said, they rightfully did. We burnt down the house and rebuilt it, which we needed to do. This first 14 games, it seems a lifetime ago since that Man City away last season, doesn't it? A complete different team, a team that's hopefully learned from their mistakes. And like I say, there's still time for an error, but they're not showing that at the moment. And we can only beat the teams in front of us, can't we? So, yeah, fantastic for me. I can't add any more of what anyone else has really added to that conversation. The atmosphere, as we've said, is fantastic. I love to be part of it. I feel very privileged to be part of it, and I think that's why you've got the atmosphere at the Emirates at the moment, because a lot of people are feeling privileged to be there, and they're making sure when they do get down there, they're giving all their efforts. But there's a lot of singers down there. Like Lottie, great singer. You hear her all the time. I could sometimes hear her in the clock end when I'm in the West Stand. So, I know when Lottie's singing. But no, you know what? The pubs before, the pubs we go in before are rocking. The Holloway Road's rocking. Seven Sisters are rocking. Everywhere's rocking round the ground. And we're all in it. We're all in it. And I'd be top 4 is our target. And if we get that, fantastic. If we get anything else, boy, that's going to be a party, right?
Or throw the FA Cup in there.
There'll be a party in the King's Head right there, Eamonn. If,
I'll just say that's the only place that's not rocking because your feet are stuck to the carpet.
No. What we're saying about standout player. Great shout, Lottie, backed up by Eamonn, and I'm going to back that up as well. Granit Xhaka. I again was a critic of his, but credit to, like I say, the management team, Arteta, what they've done with him. Fantastic player. But there is a few players up for that Player of the Season award. But if you were to give it now, it'd be Granit Xhaka. Absolutely, 100%.
Closely followed by Benjamin White.
Yes,
Yeah.
which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
But Ben White has been fantastic, hasn't he? And
even throwing the ball at the linesman the other day. You know what I mean? There's spite in that lad. I like that. There's a bit of spite in him, which means that he's up for it. And when what Mini-Me or whatever his name is that plays for Liverpool, Mini-Me or Minamino or Minamino or whatever it is, right? Do you remember he missed that opener and went over the bar? You could just see Ben White going at him, right? Just that guy. I like that guy.
Yeah, and he can play as well. He can play as well. Yeah, I think big congrats to Saka, Ramsdale, and Ben White for getting in the England team. That is really well deserved. Probably Ramsdale probably be the one where you think mightn't get a look in at all, but
yeah, that's a strange one because I think Jordan Pickford's whatever syndrome he has is worse than Ramsdale because they both got something. But I mean,
I prefer Ramsdale.
Well, I think Pickford is prone to more mistakes than Ramsdale.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think he's had his best season really at Everton either. But I suppose the way Everton are playing at the moment, no keeper would have it easy. I didn't really like. There's a picture in one of the Sunday papers there of Wobie. He threw his jersey into the Everton fans and they threw it right back at him.
I had to laugh at that. I'm sorry, I did find that quite amusing. That someone you throw a shirt into the crowd and they throw it back. I don't think I've ever seen that happen before in my.
But the ironic part of this, Ozzy, this story is, and all Everton folk, the three of them that are over here will tell you, he's been the best player this season.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. I've seen people backing him up on that. Him and Pickford, the two players that they've been saying, but
it's
what a shame. But
yeah. And I'm looking forward to seeing Ben White now play in the World Cup for England. I think he's a big future ahead of him.
I think he get in. I think your man. I mean, I think
he'd be a big shout. I mean, I think he would actually. Being honest with
you, I think he had to bring him because there was a chorus around the fact that he was the best. He's the best fullback in the country at this point in time. The way he's playing. I think he'll stick. What's the story on Kyle Walker? Is he injured or not
he's
injured?
Back.
He's not fully fit, is he? But
and I'd say if he'd go with Alexander Arnold before he go with Ben White because that's Gareth is very conservative. He does what he does,
Yeah.
It all depends how they train as well, doesn't it? But what I remember picking up from that documentary and a few interviews I've done about Ben White, Arteta said he trains every training session like it's a Champions League final. So if he does that in front of Southgate, who knows? He might get. I hope he gets a chance. He deserves it.
The other side of it is, Carl, if he's playing Bukayo Saka on the right hand side, why wouldn't you play Ben White?
He'll probably play Saka left back now in Southgate.
Yeah, well, if he goes with Saka on the right hand side, sure,
Yeah,
the two would have been on a string all season.
Yeah,
so why wouldn't you do that? You know?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? I know. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Southgate. That's why you would do it.
Yeah.
He's got his favourite, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, is anybody still questioning why Maguire's still there?
Well, Arsblog over here said about Maguire.
Someone's got to carry the bags.
Arsblog, who does he's from Dublin, does a great blog, said about Harry Maguire. He just looks like a guy that every part of his body is just 12 inches too big. That sums it up, like.
He looks more like a rugby player than he does a footballer, you know, because he can't fucking turn. I've seen a 39A turning quicker down my local roundabout than he.
As Johnny Giles would say, "My friend, milk turn quicker."
Yeah, I have to say it's the best £90 million he ever spent.
Oh, stop.
Look, Leicester fucking cleaned up there anyway, big time. But yeah, look, it's Southgate. He'll manage to fuck it up some way. It's a World Cup like no other, as they say, and a season like no other by the looks of it as well. So, I say the last home game, lads, against Wolves is probably a no-go already. I'm sure it's been sold out. You know, I'm hoping to get tickets off Eamonn now for that one. I'm giving you 6 months' notice. No,
maybe you need to switch religion or something, or you know, I'm not religious myself, but
I'm not religious either. But I will. I turn to God.
Somewhere, you know? I'm a humanist, you know.
I'd probably give the standout player for me this season would probably have to be William Saliba. I thought he's been absolutely
he's been brilliant. Yeah,
brilliant. You know, I didn't see that coming at all. I did watch him for Nice and Marseille, but I didn't think he turned it into the Premier League, being so fast and physical. He makes a mistake, but he recovers from it very well. You know, he doesn't let it get to him. He recovers, bounces quite quickly, and he covers well for Gabriel as well, which he's building a nice partnership there as well. Yeah.
As I said a few weeks ago, Jonathan, if everybody listened to me, Bill, everything would be okay. The problem, like, I think where you have to look at Saliba is, what was Virgil van Dijk like at 21 years of age? Saliba's ahead of that curve.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
he is.
Yeah.
Ahead of that curve, you know.
Well ahead of
Yeah.
I suppose I might as well, since we're doing a mini review of our first half of the season, to go back to Lottie. Your top 3 goals, Lottie.
Oh God.
Like an exam now.
That's the question.
I want this A+ to stick with it.
I'm gonna have to think about this, Jonathan. You're gonna have to come back to me. I've been at all home games this season, so how am I supposed to choose?
And you call yourself a fan. I go to Ozzy first.
Right. Okay. Well, for this season, number 1 straight in Thomas Partey Spurs.
Yeah. Got
to be Thomas Partey versus Spurs. God, now you got me asking as well. Second, just because I can't go Thomas Partey again. No, I'm gonna go second. Martinelli, the header against Forest.
Yeah.
Started that move, finished it well.
Yeah. Team move.
And then the third goal was an important one at Ellen Road. Bukayo Saka. Yeah. No, I hadn't prepared for this. I'm just off the top of my head. I probably missed a couple of words. Actually, no. The third goal, I'm changing that Saka one, so anyone can steal that. I'm going William Saliba away against Bournemouth.
Yeah, you took it right off me as well. Thanks, Karen. Eamonn, your top 3 and make it good.
I'm going with Ozzy's original 3, but in different order. I'm going with Martinelli's goal as the best because the speed at which he got across the box and met that header like a bullet in real time was nothing short of incredible. That just looked like on television, that the speed that he got across the box, he's also bending down, right? It was a phenomenal goal, right? The second goal, the goal I love because we were playing shite at the time. combination down the right-hand side against Leeds, and nobody expected B to smack it with his right foot, and smack it he did. I love that. To have the confidence to do that, you know, off your weaker foot, and it was such a crucial moment in that game. And the third one would be Thomas Partey. I won't give him number one. I think it was a very good goal. You know, is outside of. I just don't like placing any stock on the opposition when it comes to them. So I just think they're run of the mill, and that's why it's in third place. Seven Sisters FC don't deserve any extra credit in this show, you know.
No. I've seen Lottie looking at her phone, so she must be looking back on the goals of the season.
Yeah, no, I think I'm going to have to go with my favourite goal was Thomas Partey against Tottenham. I was behind the goal for that one. And then I'm going to go with the game that was on my 30th birthday, which was Liverpool. Martinelli's first goal in the first minute. I was, again, behind the goal for that one. And then I think the last one for me is going to have to be Forest. Reece Nelson, 49th minute. Because I was not expecting him to score at all.
Yeah.
At all. And the confidence boost he got from that game, I hope he keeps it with him into the second half of the season.
Yeah. I suppose I'd start from number 3 for me will be Fabio Vieira against Brentford. That was a cracking goal. And he put himself on the stage. He showed, he brought himself to Arsenal fans, on that day, I think, and he's gone on leaps and bounds, I think, since that performance, and definitely Porto had a player there, all right. The Porto fans didn't want him to go, and we can see why now. I'll probably give the second to Gabriel Jesus. I was at this one, Leicester City, the one where he just chipped it from over Danny Ward. Just the swivel, the turn, all in one move, and then this just incredible. And I'd probably give number 1 to William Saliba against Bournemouth, just solely for the reaction of Zinchenko, don't shoot, and then he's still in disbelief when he runs away to celebrate. So I'll give that to Saliba, cracking goal, and he's just had that performance just showed me that we are going to be up there for the season. It's just been a brilliant first half of the season, lads. I'm just going to get wasted for the next 6 weeks and then come back Boxing Day.
we got a 5-player shot dead at the World Cup,
Jesus Christ! Talking about putting the mockers on him. No, if we don't win the league, it will be a travesty. That's the way I'm putting it.
Jesus, Jonathan, relax, will you? Stop.
No, if we Arteta out, come.
Let's keep this show serious. You were doing well. You were doing well right until now.
So frustrating, dude. No, it's been a good first half of the season, lads. I think we'd all agree, and long may continue into the second half of the season. Is there anything else, lads, you'd like to bring up about Arsenal or anything?
No, I think we covered quite a lot of ground there, haven't we? Good.
As the lawyers would say, nothing further occurs.
No, it's been as all listeners know and all Arsenal fans out there, I'm sure you know, the next game is December 26th against West Ham. A well-earned rest for half the team and another grueling month in the World Cup for a lot of the others, but we wish them all the best. All the players taking part in the World Cup. I'd like to thank my guests tonight, Lottie, for first show on our show on this side. Carl, as always, thanks very much for your insights. Eamonn, we don't know who you are yet.
45, yeah.
Of course, thanks to John and all the other guests, Ian and Craig.
Just before we go, I know in the break, Jonathan, I want to make sure I keep in touch with Carl, and we're going to do Chris Watch.
Yes.
Has he arrived back on foot from the North London Derby?
I haven't seen him since. I haven't seen him since.
Yeah. Oh dear.
As always, you can catch our show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel and on Instagram and on all of the other social media platforms. I suppose until December the 26th, and lads, it's been a pleasure for the first half of the season, and hopefully we'll be rejoined again. Well, Wednesday the 28th of December will be our next show when we recover from the Boxing Day fixture. So until then, lads, have a nice Christmas, and we'll see you all again in December the 28th. Thanks, lads.
Go on, you Gunners. See you all.
Cheers, lads. Great show.
Thank you.
Top.